Welcoming everybody to the session. Welcoming everybody to the session. We're together again. Welcoming everybody to the session today. Welcoming everybody to the session. So it's 1 o'clock already, and it's good to be here again. We're just going to allow a few minutes for some persons to join the call. So the numbers are still increasing. So let's allow for some time for some persons to be able to connect. While we're waiting for some persons to connect, for those that were around last week, and if you can just type in the chat, let's have an idea of how last week's session was. What do you think about last week's session? Did you enjoy it? Did it go well? Yes, let's get some comments in the chat. Let's get some comment in the chat. We just want to get an idea of how the last week's session was. And if you were not there last week, yeah, you can still drop a comment. Let's get some comments. So this is 2 minutes past 1 now. We just yeah, please, if you can hear me, can you just confirm in the chat if you can hear me? I'm not sure if you can hear me. Yeah, I think somebody can hear me. Somebody just said, well, I wasn't there, but I believe today's webinar will be, yeah, today will definitely be insightful. I don't have a doubt about that. Yeah, last week's session was great, but the recording was not sent to us as promised. Oh, apologies about that. So the recording is on our YouTube channel just now, but it's been set as private. So what I'll do is I'll copy the URL and put it into this chat. So what I'm going to do, I'll copy the URL of the recordings, put it into the URL into the chat, and if you click on the link, you'll be able to see last week's recording. Alternatively, I can just open it up because I set it as private. I can actually open it up so any person from the public can as well have access to it. So the simple way for the recording is this. You agree with me that a 2 hours video is going to be very heavy. So it's not something we can send maybe via email or WhatsApp. So what we've done is we've uploaded it on our YouTube channel. So if you check on YouTube, you will see IntelliNavis Careers. So there's a YouTube channel there already. So we might probably just sample it in the call today. So that's exactly where you will see the recording for last week's. And the same thing applies for today. Actually, you'll be able to get a recording as well. We'll upload everything online. So you can go back to it. You can get to see it as well. And our Facebook as well. If you check on our Facebook, you can obviously also get access to it. So somebody says having issue with the mic and speaker. Does that mean you can't hear us? Please just confirm that you can hear us because this is 4 minutes past and we need to start. Somebody still says can't hear.
I'm with you. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much for confirming that. Yeah, I just want to be sure that we're together, that you can hear. Okay, so at exactly 5 minutes past 1, we'll be starting the call. And this is me here, Dr. Yakubu Balogu here, welcoming you this afternoon to another session of the Data Analytics Masterclass. And last week, we had a session where we looked at the job career, when we discussed stuff about analytics, the kind of job, the kind of pay. And we started last week by talking about the growth mindset. Yeah, somebody said you can't get the recording. So don't worry about the recording. At the close of today's session, I'll give you the link to our YouTube channel. We've just created a YouTube channel where the recording is. Now, apart from the YouTube channel, on our Facebook page, you can also find the recording there. But we'll talk about that at the end of the session. And today's session will also be uploaded there so you can have it. So you're welcome to the session. Having talked about using Microsoft Excel last week, some persons found it quite interesting, insightful. To some persons, a little bit technical. I mean, it's probably a little bit fast. But you know what we did is called a masterclass. It's a demo. We're not developing. We're trying to demo what you can do, like the potential of what we're talking about. And that's why it's a little bit fast-paced. That's why it's a little bit not very granular. But as we get on in the process, as we progress, we'll be able to look at this a lot more. So, but we're all welcome to today's session. And I think our moderator is in the house. Victoria Ilori is already in the house. So I'm going to let Victoria share today's meeting and welcome her today's speaker. If Victoria is okay there, please.
Oh, hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Victoria. Good afternoon.
Yeah, with you, live and direct. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Victoria, and I am supposed to be moderating today's call. Apologies, I got in a little bit late. So I am just going to proceed from where Dr. Jacob stopped. Last week was a very insightful section to a couple of people. Generally, we were doing a lot of things in Excel, and we were majorly trying to do a couple of filter on a particular data which would be available to the team. Again, sincere apologies. I was listening just now that we couldn't get to send the videos to everyone. The link, the email which you were supposed to get, you're still going to be getting it with the link embedded in it. Remember, some of us were able to fill in our email into the feedback form last week, which we are also going to be doing again today. So we would be putting in the link in the email. Alternatively, while the section is going on or at the end of the section, we would also be sharing the link for the previous class while providing a name of the YouTube channel where you can access the recording as well. So now we don't take so much of your time, we would be going in through the process. Again, our moderators are Dr. Jacob, and then we have our second moderator as well. And that would be in person of Mr. Anthony. Today, generally, we will be doing a lot more things in Jupyter Notes, pretty much working in Python and trying to analyze our data, doing a bit more visualization using the like of pandas and other visualizing software in Python to visualize our data and make meaning of them. Dr. Jacob is still going to be the one taking us through the section today. So as we did last week, just a bit of room to ensure that we are all at sync and avoid a lot of conversation going on while the moderator is talking or while the presenter is talking. We would try as much as possible to just send in our information through chat. Please send whatever question you have, whatever complaint you're not sure of, please send it through the chat. Just drop a message there and I will be in the chat replying to you. But if it's something you need to ask the moderator, we would be entertaining question at the end of this section. So please, to ensure that we are able to accommodate everyone's question while not disrupting the section as well. Okay, I hope that is fine by everyone. So just before we start, is there anyone that has any other question? Is there something you're not sure of? Do you think the sound is clear? If you're sure of everything, if you think we can proceed, if you could please drop an emoji or something in the chat just now. Great, great. Thank you everyone. Great, good to see that we are crystal clear. Just to quickly reiterate, Mr. Yakub is still going to be the one presenting today, and he is a part-time lecturer at the Robert Gordon University. He's also an independent consultant, and over the years, he has been able to work on diverse data analytic projects, including those related to the COVID-19 analytics pretty much in 2019. And then we have Mr. Anthony, who is pretty much a PhD researcher in data engineering and machine learning. He also worked with a couple of other businesses in the UK here, and he has pretty much different experience that cut across different fields, including energy, oil and gas, financial services, insurance, and academia. And now, Mr. Yakub is pretty much going to be taking the section today, but Mr. Anthony, in the long run, will pretty much be answering a couple of questions. So you get to meet these two persons. Also, from last week, we had a bit of conversation about you joining our long-time training, which we would further be discussing at the end of this section. So if you're looking to further on or get more experience beyond the demo we are doing today, remember it's a masterclass. It's just for 2 hours. It's going to be fast. So for you to get more information about this, for you to be able to do much more than just a demo, we are looking forward to you enrolling in a long-time duration class, which would be for another 3 months. But then Mr. Yakub is going to be taking us in depth into all of this within this section. So for us to begin this section now, I would be calling on Mr. Yakub, and he's going to be taking you through every process that include you installing your Jupyter Notes, you analyzing data using Python in your Jupyter Notes, importing diverse programs, including pandas, amidst others, and ensuring that you get the right information as much as possible. So if you're there, just one more time, if you give a clap emoji as we welcome Dr. Yakub.
Right.
Dr.
Thanks
Yakub,
a lot, Victoria. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And there's going to be a little bit of a swap. I mean, I appreciate the whole introduction. So we're going to let Mr. Tony go first right on, and I will also jump in maybe for some Q&A for some sessions. But yes, everything you said is all on point. We just hand over the stage to Mr. Tony. Thanks a lot, Victoria.
Thank you, Victoria.
Yeah, go with the flex for you. Can you imagine?
Can you all hear me clearly, please?
What do you do?
I can hear someone's microphone not muted. If you could please mute your mic, please. Yes, Mr. Tony, I can hear you. Please go on.
Oh, thank you very much. Welcome once again for this section today. As Victoria has mentioned, and Dr. Yakuba has also mentioned, we will do our best to pass across as much knowledge as we can within this very brief period. I know last week we were fast. Today we will try and alternate it. Essentially, we'll try and be fast at some point, slow down and order, just to carry everybody along. We understand that there are variable skill levels in the room. So if it's too much or just too little, let's just bear. But in the main training, actually, it's tailored essentially to suit individual needs. We'll be able to manage that as we move forward. So just to go back to last week, we went through some of those slides with respect to Intellinavics data analytics offering. And so today we'll continue with a brief of those slides as we go in depth into our demo section. So I'll go back to the next slide very briefly. We'll go through a brief overview, activities in data analytics and all that. I know when we did the masterclass last week, we did look at an Excel file, and Dr. Yakubu did demo some of those dashboards. So today we'll make reference to that file, but we'll slightly look at it from a different angle. So data analytics generally. What is it? It's, has to do with the science of dealing with raw data, essentially. So in data analytics, raw data or data, I'll use in context now, the crude oil. The raw data is that unrefined gold, as it were. So if you can pick up any data, refine it, and then make sense out of it. So businesses, can use it to either improve sales or reduce expenses, minimize risk, and all that. So you can have data analytics applied in several business areas, in energy, in environmental, in health. Dr. made mention of COVID on the last presentation, and in virtually even at home, you could use data analytics to monitor your expenses and every other stuff. So data analytics, apart from applying it in the industry, you can apply it in-house, and it's actually very varied. Also, for management to take decisions that would affect the business positively, they need data. So if you're that individual that can get them the data, clean the data, prepare the data, and make presentations, meaningful insight from that data, then you are in for business. So that's more or less like a random summary. And so as a data analyst, you're talking about collection of data, analyzing the data, and creating reports. Yet you would work with various other skill set individuals, data engineers, business analysts, project managers, and all that. But once you understand how to handle data, everyone essentially looks at you to make meaning out of that data. So data collection, data analysis, and analyzing data where the real core of the activities is involved for this space, it's also very essential. And then creating reports, tailoring reports to suit management expectations. Transitioning. Now, I know I've discussed a couple of people who have been worried about data analytics. How do I just do it? It's, as I said, it's not difficult. You just need to take that one step at a time. Take, for instance, if you are asked to drive virtually every car in this world, it's almost impossible. But once you know how to drive just one car, you start with the very basics, your brake, your clutch, your side mirrors, your signal, and all those little stuff. You take it one step at a time, and then before you know it, you've acquired all the skills. So you talk to people that have the jobs you want, you talk to mentors, you engage in training, you think of certification. There's quite a whole lot of varied. I love this very last point that says be patient. Just take it one step at a time. One thing I've realized, for my own case over time, it's that you may not know everything now, but every day as you learn one thing, you're better off than you were yesterday. So as someone interested in data analytics, or somebody who is looking at transitioning, you have a current job, you want to improve in your job, you're looking for a new career path, just take it one step at a time. Just be patient. That's one secret in my journey as a data analyst. When I get bored or when I get angry, I go write codes and then let the code deal with me. So while that is going on, and before you know it, I'm making more progress. So on both sides. So you can transition into data analytics. Just give it a go as you are doing today. And as a data analyst, also, when it comes to the space of data analytics, there's quite a lot of IT skill sets you will need. There are loads of them. And the beautiful thing is that once you know one, there's this opening or understanding. It now helps you to know the next. My illustration may not be perfect, but if you know how to speak one form of English in various countries where they have different versions of English, you can still somehow find your way through. The same thing with, the other foreign, the other languages, as it were. So if you know how to use Excel, when you get into Power BI, it's not going to be all that totally new. When you know how to use Excel, Python a little different because it's mostly script and command line and all that. But then you're making progress. So that's the beauty of it. So start with one, as we've just started with Excel. Today we'll look at a brief Python, and then we'll look at SQL. We'll try and make it as simple as it is as we make progress. Again, data analytics, loads of jobs, and very rewarding. Dr. Yakubu did make a good presentation last week, so I will encourage you, once you get the link, go for it. So we'll just crack on essentially with the demo. So today we will be using Jupyter Notebook for Python. There are a number of interfaces and IDEs you can use, but for today, just for the ease of it, we'll use Jupyter Notebook. So I'll just call up my Jupyter Notebook just now, and let me know if you can see my Jupyter Notebook screen. That's fine. So that's it, just like a notebook, line, cell as they call them, and all that, and you can do just virtually anything. So let's start with the very, very basics, for instance. Those days, they used to tell us A is for apple. A is for apple. So let's say A is for apple, and then I run that. Now I'm going to show you something. Then let me say I want to print A. So what essentially I did from line number 1 is that I assigned that text or that word, as it were, apple, I assigned it into the variable A. So whenever I call up A, apple shows up. Now you can assign a whole page of book. You can assign any word, any sentence into a variable. It's just the basics. Let's take the next one, for instance. I say B, again, I call it ball, and then I assign that by running it essentially. And then again, I call B or I print B, whichever, just to show what I've assigned into B. So it's as simple as that. So now think of the possibilities. You can begin to write other things and then improve it. Let's take it just a step further. This time I'll say C equals 1, and I say D equals 2. And then I assign those, I run them, and then I want to print, let's say I want to print C, I get 1. I want to print, I want to print D. Again, I run it, I get 2. And then let's just try something. Let's say C. Let's now assign the sum of C and D. Let's assign it into E, for instance. And then I want to print E. And obviously, the answer is 3. Now, I can go back to where I did the first assignment. I want to assign C10, D22. I get that into the variable, and I come back to E in line 8. I run line 8 and then go back to line 9, run it, I get 32. So you can see that each time you change the value assigned to a particular variable somewhere at the top, in this case, when you run the subsequent codes, it remembers what is done above, and so this is more or less the basics. So if you can assign a value to a variable, and then you can assign a sentence to a variable, you see where I'm going to? You can also assign data to a variable, such that when you call up that variable, the data comes up. It's just as basic and as easy as that. Let's do something else, and then we'll just take it further. This time, I want to assign C to 10, as I did the last time. I'm running it. I want to print C. Just follow me. I have my value 10, like so, like before. And then D, I want to assign the value 22, for instance. And then I print D, just like I did the other time. And this time also, I want to say E. And also this time I want to say, I want you to give me the sum of C plus D just before I run it. Can you, if you know what the answer is, can you just place it on the chart as we continue? From what we did above and then up to this point. Give me the answer for C plus D. Anybody? 32, okay. 30, 32. Beautiful. Now I'll run it and then, okay, that's fine. Thank you so much then. Thank you so much. I will run it and then you tell me if I was wrong or I was right. So that's what I get. 1, 0, 2, 2. Welcome on board. Now, the beauty of this is this: when it comes to tools or systems like this, data type is so very important. Now, remember, if you look at my line 10 here, when I assigned C and D, what I assigned to them were actual numbers or integers. I can't believe I fell for that. Beautiful. So, what I assigned it's C 10 and D 22. But when it came up to this other time, I was actually assigning a string. I was actually assigning an actual number. That's why when I had the sum, it didn't actually treat it like a mathematical operation, as it were. So take, for instance, over the phone, you told somebody, I need 2 5s. What do you really mean? Is it 2 and 5? Is it 5 and 5, or is it 5 plus 5? So that kind of, so understanding data as a data analyst is so very important. And data types is one thing that can play quite a lot of tricks. So that's just the basic. Now, because of last week, we not that we're fast, but we more or less balanced it. So, but today, what I have just done is I've written out some of the scripts so that it is easier to follow, and then I'll just take my time and talk through each of the steps. Okay? Okay. So then I will explain it, and then we'll just make progress. Now, when it comes to Python, for instance, as we're doing in Jupyter Notebook, there are quite a lot of codes that people have already written, functions and all manner of stuff that people have written, and then they have saved them into libraries. Take, for instance, when you want to grab some knowledge, you are in mathematics or you're in history, but you need knowledge in the medical sciences. You just go to the library, go to the medical section, pick a medical book, read it, and that's it. You have one or two knowledge in that area. So in Python, people have done quite a lot of heavy lifting, and then they have placed those in things that we call libraries. And then, they have functions and all methods and all manner of things in there. So for today, we'll be using a particular library called Pandas. It's a very popular library for, pandering, as they say, data, for handling data when it comes to Python data analysis. Now, because this time we want the data to come from a web location, the data we used last week, we have it in our GitHub location. So we want to use that particular data. So remember from the previous stuff, getting raw data. So your ability to be able to get raw data and then work with it, it's very, very valid. Now, I will run this particular line, excuse me, and import Panda as PD. So what I'm essentially saying is that whenever I want to use Panda, rather than type all the word pandas, I just use PD. That is essentially what this is. I mean, I could have said import Panda as this. It could have been anything. So whenever I need to use pandas, I'll get the whole of that, but I actually want it as PD. And I'm using this a particular widget. It's a Unix-based kind of tool, a library to pull data from the web. I already know where the data is, so I have my web address. Now, before you import, sometimes you need to install the tool first, but we won't go through that process. We will do that in the main course. So now remember when we went above this point, we assigned this string 22 to D. So now what we want to do is to assign whatever data that is here, this web address, we want to assign it to our URL. It's just, remember we started from assigning values to variable. So I will run this particular line, and then that is essentially what I've done. Let me say, for instance, I want to print a URL. So you can see that we've just assigned our URL, this entire URL to that particular. So the next time I want to make reference to that long URL, I just talk about our URL. We get it. Now, pandas, remember I talked about PD. So pandas has a function, or the program that's going to be called read_CSV, that helps you to read CSV files. But before we get to that point, I'll just go back a little. If, for instance, we come to this point and I say our data equals our URL, what I've essentially done is to take the whole of this URL and then put it into our data, just like we saw above, correct? Now, but this time, what we want to do, we want to download that particular data in the URL, but we need things that people have already done to prepare us for that anyway. So they've written certain stuff, what they call widget. So we are using the widget and then calling up that module, as it were, to download the stuff. Some people would just prefer to use request .get. Some people want, for the response and all, but in this case, I'm using widget. One beautiful thing with Python, while I will encourage you to learn it, is that it's a tool that has a very large followership and large community, and it's in several areas. So people have solutions that you just need to pick and then apply it to your own particular case. Now I'll run this particular code, and you can see that the data is not that large, so it's already downloaded it 100%, and then it just brought that data up from that point. I will try to view that data. For instance, I'll say, okay, our data beautiful. So the data we just downloaded from this URL using widget.download, that widget library, and then reading that data with a pandas.read CSV, that's the data we've just had. And this was the data we used essentially in Excel. So you can actually download any data anywhere where you know where it is, call it up with just this simple few lines, and then you have it. If it's not a CSV, it's an Excel, you can use a different pandas underscore Excel, read Excel. There's quite a lot that you can use. So that's the data. Now, .head will help you to just give you the first 5 records of any data. Understand that Python starts numbers from 0. So you have 0, 1, 2, 3. So this is usually the first record. It's important to know that. Now, 0 obviously is a number. So actually start from 0 to 9. Head will give you 5. If I decide to make it 10 and I run the same code, you have 10 records. So let's keep it at 5 at the moment. And as a data analyst, the beauty of operating as a data analyst is that you look at data slightly different. If you look at this data, there's quite a lot of interesting stuff around it. If you go to price per unit, for instance, it has a $sign. If you go to units, I've just made it a little larger. When you go to units sold, you can see comma. The comma sounds more like English, although the data will understand it, but does Python really understand it as it is? Bear in mind that we had a case here when we did this stuff. So this is different from this. So when you come over to the data also, this data with comma is different from just 12,000. So that's your data. Again, as a data analyst, it's good practice to keep your data. Just keep a copy somewhere, you might need it. So I want to use this particular library, import a copy, and then run that code, the copy.deep copy, and then with your original data, data that we imported earlier. So I've just kept a copy of this data. It's important to sometimes keep your copy just in case what you're working on gets messed up. The head also is just to make sure that my copy data is the same thing as my original data. So that's what I have at the moment. So nothing too fanciful here, essentially. We've gone through this. Your data.head, open bracket, close bracket, that gives you that. As data analyst also, it's important to know your data essentially. So when you run this script, your data.info, bracket open, bracket close, it gives you an understanding of your data. We have 3,887 records. As I said earlier, Python will usually start its numbering from 0 and then see the number of columns. It just helps you. Now, in Excel, you can get all this, but just take, for instance, that you have 100 columns. It's going to cover all the page. So, but once you run this .info, you're going to have that brief information, and it's really, really handy. And also, if you look at the data types, the retail ID is the only one that is integer. Every other ones are more or less combined, so they are stored as pandas object. So if you run a mathematical operation on this retail ID, it will work. If you run a mathematical operation on price per unit, it wouldn't work, like it didn't do up there because of this dollar sign, because of the way it sees its data. So as I said, I've written the code earlier just so that we can quickly move on. Like I mentioned, if you, I'll just go back one step again. In Python, for instance, when you call up your data, which is our data, where we have everything, and you want to make reference to a specific column, these are all columns. When you do this, the data square bracket open the apostrophe, the data name, the column name, close it, and then with the close bracket. Once you do this, what you're essentially getting is just that particular column. So you can actually analyze data, just play with the data essentially. So, but when you now put .ilog, I'll run that and then you see the difference. So what this is doing is that I want this data, but I want just the first entry. If, for instance, I decide to, let me do the one for beverage. Oh, yes. So I want the first entry. Now, if I do for the fourth entry, number 4, can somebody tell me what the answer will be, please? For beverage brand, ilog number 4, that is the index location number 4. What would it be if I run this, please? Number 4. Can you type in the chat? Remember, Python starts counting from where? Okay, I'll run it. That's beautiful. Okay, so you have power read. So once you get the understanding of how Python plays, you just understand that it starts counting from 0 and all that. So, but it's something you need to try your hands on and then play with it, and then we'll get there. Okay, so let's go over just to the next line. I want to run this again just to bring us back to the way pandas looks at data. If I add what is supposed to be 0.50 and what is supposed to be 0.40, the answer I think I should be getting is 0.90, but what is seen is different from what I'm saying. So that's why I post up an answer. Like, remember, we've done this as an example when we did the D and C. So I'll just quickly run through. Now, what I then want to do as a data analyst is to make sure that I assign the right type of data to a particular field. So that's what I've just done here. I've essentially, I'll just run. I've essentially said, okay, what this code is telling me is this. I'll go from here. What this code is telling me is this. I want, whatever I do on my right-hand side, I want to assign it to that particular column on my left-hand side. Remember, we've gone through this. So you mention your data, bracket, square bracket open, and all this. And then, so whatever you do on your right-hand side is going to affect your left-hand side. Now, so what I've said is, I want to, whatever I have here is a string because it contains my $sign. It could contain any other text. And then I want to replace the $sign with nothing. So I'm saying that this $sign, I want to remove it, but I want to replace it with nothing. What I want is 0.50. But once you do that and stop at this point, it's still going to give you your data type as string or still remain it as object. But now I want to assign it to a float because I know a float are things that are like a decimal, 0.0 stuff and all that. That's essentially what I've done here. We get. And then I've done the same thing for sales date. Now we can do the same thing for, let's say, operating profit. And the beauty of these are, once you have one piece of code that works, actually, you can more or less just use it for the next. It's as straightforward as that. So that's why it's easy to program it, and then it's easy to to use it at any point. So again, I'm just doing exactly the same thing I did up there. So I've just added another line, and then, oh, okay, beautiful. Now this is happening because I've already run this code, and I'm repeating it. So it's telling me that what you're doing, it's not possible because you've already made your corrections. But let's see. Did I miss something? Okay, beautiful. Now, again, when it comes to errors, sometimes when you have errors, it points you to where it is. And sometimes, again, if you're able to read and understand this, that's great. But we won't go to trying to break the errors and then trying to find out what the problems are and all that. So we'll just keep this for now. But the beauty of it is that you can have errors in Python, especially for Jupyter Notebook. You can have a description of the error. And if you go to this particular library, you're going to see all this line, and then you can point yourself towards the errors it's. So we'll leave that at this point, and then we will just crack on to the next. So what we did earlier was to run that total sales where we stripped. Just give me a moment. I'll just make this. By the way, that sign is comment sign, so I just don't want that part to run again while I move on. So what we did from total sales was to remove the dollar sign and to remove the comma. You see, total sales earlier on, we had dollar sign, we had comma. But because we have run this code for total sales, this one, we've managed to remove the comma. And so this particular stuff will now be treated as a number. I'll just say, so that will be true. And these are all the ones who have run earlier. They've not all now been converted to a different data type compared to when they were all objects. So for data analysis in Python, you can do quite a lot of these. Treat your data the way you want it. Just prepare your data more or less. So the next line of code is telling me that, okay, when I removed the dollar sign, somebody will be wondering what currency am I dealing with? So you can easily rename your columns by this particular piece of code. And let me point out here that in Python, you can achieve the same thing by using several methods or several scripts. Just use the one that works for you. But so far, our data that I've been working on, we've tried to clean this a little. We've tried to clean this a little. You can follow the same example and then clean every other data and just make it as nice as you want. Now, for invoice date time, it's a very interesting piece of work when it comes to Python data analysis. Once you understand how to handle date time and then make your date time your index, so everything now begins to be aligned with the date time. So you want to find out prices per region, per time, or per date. So that now becomes your index, because naturally what Python will do it will assign numerical index, but then you can decide to assign a date time index. That way it makes your analysis a lot more easier. So that's what we're doing just now. That's what this line of code is telling me. I want to run this data, assign invoice date to PD, remember our pandas, to date time. And then I want to make my invoice date as it were. I want to set it as my index. Once I run this code, you see what I mean. Earlier on, we had these as indexes. So we can make a reference to index 1, index 2, index 3, index 4, and so on. But this time, we are assigning the index as the invoice date. What that will help us do is that when we want to talk about regions and beverages, we can just make reference to dates. I mean, that's more or less the most important thing. What your management will usually want to know it's what sales, what profit and all that per time or per date and all that. So that's why assigning date time as indexes is good. We'll just throw up one plot just for the purpose of showing us stuff. In Excel, you go through processes and understand, you make your plot and all that. But in Python, as much as you follow processes to prepare your data, just one piece of line of code can actually help you throw up your plot. And you can manipulate the plot as often as you want and in various ways as you prefer. But this is just an example that just a piece of line, you can just through your code. And then this figure size is just to give it a size. You can change this as much as you want, just to increase or reduce. Again, these are things you can do while management say, can you give us a trend? And you just write one or two lines and then you have your answers. Now, this line of code, what I'm using it to do is to find out what are the unique regions. You can change that to city if you want. And it just gives you in one go. It gives you can change that to states as you want. So unique region and all that. It's important just in case you want to know what are the regions we have, what are the cities, what are the states, and all that. So I'll just more or less breeze through the rest. I'll run the next code and I'll try to explain to you what it does. Again, just from saying this word group by, we'll make this group by later on in SQL. What I'm saying to this is that I have my data. I want to group my data by regions. But I want to sum a particular column while I do that. And the column I want to sum is the total sales column. Now you can do that for unit price. You can do that for volume sold and all that. But remember, before you do the sum, you have changed your data you have changed this particular column to integers. Otherwise, as we saw earlier on, these numbers will not be right. Again, what I've just done here is to sort my values, in descending order or against them ascending order. So Python, it's a very good skill to have. Now, don't be scared about all the coding and everything. If you just take it one step at a time, you can repeat stuff and just make it easier for yourself. And then you can do this offline anyway. You don't need the internet to do this. And very quickly, I would run these pieces of code. Again, it's essentially the same thing. Earlier on, I had to sum them just by region for total sales. But this time, I'm summing them by region, retailer, and what they have sold. So it's just a different way of looking at it. And then from this alone, you can draw quite a lot of analysis. You have your region Midwest. You can see what the retailer Dreamco, what it has sold. Within Midwest, you can see what soda pop. So something like this in just one go. So once you have your data in an environment where you can run Python, you can do things like this with ease. And some of this code, you can repeat them. You can apply this to other columns. You don't need to rewrite this code. You just copy, paste it, and change the variable you want. You can do that by city and just, make things look a little different. So without taking much of your time, I'll just have a breeze through essentially, and then just explain these two charts. Again, it's more or less self-explanatory where you have your data. Now, I'll just go back one step. When I did the group by, I had to create a new variable so that my original data is still there, but I'm just grouping this by total sales and region. I could have grouped them by total sales and all that, so that when I want to do my plot, I just look at the specifics of what I have grouped in, a group at, and then I just do my plot, just straightforward. Now, this is the beauty of it, where you can write one line of code and then it just gives you it gives you something, it gives you an insight of the data. And anybody seeing this will just know that, oh, what's happening here? Or it looks like West is doing much better than every other location. And again, you can have your pie chart if that's what you prefer. But from what you have seen thus far, it's not that impossible. Very quickly, going back to the top, just start from the basics, just take it one step at a time, and then just begin to develop. If you get stuck, you can ask questions, you can Google it, as they say, just find out a solution that suits you. And then as you walk over it and over it, you gain the experience. The difference, though, is this: when it comes to focus, when it comes to doing a project, when it comes to doing something specific, then that's where you now have to do it, as maybe management demands or as your organizational demands, but just to have the skill set and then the confidence, I think you can do it with ease. I know I rushed it. When you have the video, you have Jupyter Notebook installed, you can do it in Colab, Google Colab, just type Google Colab, and then that's you in and all that. So, but make sure you have your hands tried on it, and then that will be you. So I'll take a break now for a moment. If you have any question or any comments, just post it. I'll keep the floor open for Dr. Yakubu while he attends, and then I'll be back in a moment, and then we'll go over to SQL and just do a bit of summary, more or less. See you in a moment.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Are we getting on with the session? If you're following the session, can I just see you type 777? If you're following the session, let me see you type something on the chat just now. Hello. Yeah, my camera. Let me get my camera to look at me very well. Good. If you're following the session, let me see. Yes, we're typing something just now. Right, I can see lots of 7. I can see lots of 7. That's perfect. Yeah, I like great. Yeah, I like some of those comments. So that is Python for you using Jupyter Notebook. Do not be so worried. Question, can we link Python to AI? Absolutely. AI is artificial intelligence. You're trying to make a system to be smart to do things without you necessarily telling it to do that. So to program that system to have that capability, you use Python to give all of those instructions at the background. So Python clearly, excellently, is very, very ideal for something like that. Yeah, you use Python to do all of those stuffs. Yeah. So, but what we're doing just now in the masterclass is mainly analytics. So we're analyzing data. And you can see today we'll start from the background, from the basics of Python, which we're going to go in depth as we progress clearly. And you've seen some visualization. Now, the interesting thing that you will notice here is last week, I actually gave you just a flat file. I brought a CSV and then started analyzing the CSV. But you would notice that when you're working in real life situations, most times, you're not given a CSV to analyze. You need to go and tap your data. You tap your data from a database. Number one, you can get it from a database, or you can get it from an API source, which we call application programming interface. You can also get it from a website. So today, what Mr. Tony has done is the data set is not on his computer, it's on the website. And on the website, we have a GitHub repository as Intel and Navis Careers, which you're going to have access to the GitHub repository. And in that GitHub repository, this data set is there. So you can see what is showing you just now on the screen. This is a GitHub repository that has got the slides from our last week's session is there on the repository in PDF format. The dashboard that we created last week is there in Excel format, as well as the raw data is there as that demo data. So what Mr. Tony did is that masterclass data is what he needed. You don't need to download it. So you use Python to do what we call web scraping. So all of these things will go in more detail. So he has been able to just go to the website, pull the data. The beauty of what he has done is, you see the one I did last week, it's kind of mechanical. So if it changes, I need to go there and do some things. But the idea of what Mr. Tony is demonstrating is you don't need to do anything. if the data changes in that website, when he runs his code again, it will fetch the new data. It will fetch another data tomorrow. So that's the way you do things in production environment, which will be making progress with. Somebody ask a question, is Python available to use or do I have to pay? You don't pay anything for Python. Python is free. The GitHub repository where the data set is equally free. So everybody is going to have a GitHub account. Will connect you to the GitHub account, like give you access to our private GitHub for the data set where you can pull stuff and do anything you want to do. Now, apart from web scraping where you get live data, the other thing that Mr. Tony will be demoing now is SQL. So if you're working in an organization, all of your data is going to be in a database. So we have different data management system. So the data is there, but you need to analyze it. So what do? You need to connect to the database. So you see that last week I just brought a CSV file, Excel file, and we started using it. But in the real sense of it, either you're using Power BI, Tableau, Python, or Excel, you connect to the database. That's where you fetch your data from and analyze your data. So whenever there's an update on the database, when you refresh, you get the updated version. So right now we'll be going into another tool for today, and it's SQL, and it's going to be another interesting session. Mr. Tony is an expert in SQL. So get all your questions ready and enjoy this other session in SQL. And after that, all the questions and everything will come after the discussion on SQL.
Thank you, Dr. Balogun. Thank you once again for staying back. So we will go through SQL as it were. So for today, we will be using the Microsoft SQL interface as it were. Now, one good thing with SQL has been an existing database, management database system that has been in existence for quite a while. And you have, different flavor of SQL, if I want to say structured query language. Remember when we looked at Excel, you have Excel data in columns and then in rows. In Python, where we came from just now, what we looked at was a data frame, a more or less mimic Excel. You have your columns and then you have your rows. So when it comes to SQL is very good when in use with the structure, that kind of structured kind of tables. So your structured query language, SQL is very good. If you know how to write in SQL, even if it's one of the flavor of SQL, because you have the Microsoft, your common SQL, I want to say, you have the Oracle SQL. In Teradata, it's SQL. In Hadoop Impala, it's SQL. In Hive, in Hadoop Hive, it's SQL. So what I'm just trying to say at the end of the day is that if you know how to write SQL, when you see a job, where someone requires skill in Hive or in Impala, you can do it because it's essentially SQL. And then there's quite a lot of various other systems that use SQL. So SQL, it's really, really, really very good. So what I've done before this time, it's that I've already imported the data into this environment, and that's the Masterclass data. So I've already imported it into this environment. The same way we were able to import data from the web into Jupyter Notebook using Python, you can actually take data automatically from Python to SQL. At the main class, we will look at all that. So that's the beauty of a data analyst. If you know the system, how to code in Python, you know how to do your data management systems, and then you work with your Excel, obviously, and then you know how to do your visualization like with Power BI or Tableau. Once you connect these three, forget it, you're super good. So that's why we're coming into SQL database. So already I have the data imported, and so what I'm going to do is just to write a few lines. Remember when we looked at Python, we were using this to comment so that whatever we write will not influence our code. But in SQL, we do this. And I'll just say first example. So whatever I do, first example won't affect it. Or I can do a block comment. And then I can write anything I want to write within that block. Okay. Is that okay? Okay. So that's a block comment. And then this is line comment. If you want to comment line by line, you see the next line, I need to use this, 2 of this, 1, 2 to comment. But if I want to do a block comment, I just do these 2. And then whatever I type inside, as it were, would remain. So this is just random stuff. The way I like to start SQL, I like to communicate as if I'm speaking English. So if, for instance, I say select from, once you do these 2, it does help you build like your script block, if I want to use that term. Now, the reason I like to do select from is this, I will explain. So let me say I say select, and I start typing. It comes up with all manner of stuff, great. But once I say select from, and I decide to type my my table, sorry, which is the Masterclass table. Once I go back to this select and I want to start typing, it tends to give me some of the things I have in my Masterclass. Okay. As a first go, when you say select all, this is the short notation for all in SQL. Select all from this. So I'm speaking English. Select all from this. When I run that code, I'm going to see my, remember we saw this earlier in the Jupyter notebook, and we saw this earlier in the Excel. So this is all, this is the entire data, essentially. I can say select count all. Again, I'm speaking English, count all. And it tells me, oh, I have 776 records. It's one of those apps. They select, I want to count all. Okay, so let's go back to so once in a while I will using the block comment just to keep some of the part of the code neat, just to make sure we retain that for tomorrow. So this is select all. Select count all. So we'll go back again. Select all gives me everything. If I want to select, let me write something. Again, I'm speaking English. Select top 5 all. I can say select top 15 all. Remember, as a data analyst, you really want to know your data. You want to have a feel of your data. You want to know what your data is before you start making interpretation. So this is just me viewing the data and like, oh, appreciating the data. Oh, it looks like we have retailers. We have regions. We have states, cities, and so all manner of stuff. So now I want to, for instance, see how many retailers we have or the types of retailers. Again, the same English. I'll just select distinct. You know, when you speak English, just select distinct. You say retailer from. Again, you just say, wow. So it gives me the distinct or the specific retailers I have. It's important because as a data analyst or when you go into data analysis, you really want to know your data. Remember the block comment I mentioned earlier? So I'll just keep the results. So these are all my retailers. Yeah. Are we good? Give me 777 if you think you're following so far. Nice. Okay. So can somebody just suggest what distinct we have to use this time? Distinct what? CT, sales. So sales is going to be a number. So you're going to have several numbers. So can you give me something like region? Beautiful. So distinct region. When you run that, you're going to see your respective region. I decided to leave this one here for the retailer. So you have your region. So things, you're beginning to see things, begin to make sense. Now, it is possible that in different regions, we have different retailers. Remember when we did a group by earlier on in Python? So this time, okay, I want to say, I'll just comment this. Okay, so this time I want to say, this time I want to get the, what's it called? The region, I want to group the retailers by region. So I'm going to say select region, comma, retailers, comma. Now, I'll just run this for you to see the example. So it gives me the regions and all the retailers. If I say select distinct, so what it has done, it has given me the region, the retailers, and all that. This is also an example of your output. Or I can decide to say, okay, select region, select retailers, and I now want to say, what's that one of those stuff that we had? Give me a moment. So select all from Masterclass. Oh, select all from, okay, because I highlighted that and drew. So we have, let's say for instance, units underscore sold. That's what I want to work on just now. So I want to say, okay, select all, select sum. I hope this works. Units sold. Is it sum or is it just a number? I think it's a number. Yeah. Okay. From this, and I want to group them by region. I hope this works. No, I group them by region and by retailer. I hope this works. Okay, I'll give it a go. It works. Okay, so you can see that these values, now, does this value look right? So it looks like these values are either in millions or these values are wrong. But this is just to give you a flavor of what you can do with your SQL. So for units sold, when you create, so this time I want to give it an alias so that the count of my units sold, I want to call it this. So you can call it just anything you want. So this is as easy as it is. You can manipulate SQL data. Okay, I'll just take it one step further, just very slightly, as we look at rounding up. So I'll say select all from Masterclass. Now I want to say invoice date, comma. Let me try year of invoice date. Again, I hope this works. Oh, beautiful. So you can see that SQL is easy for you to pick. You can see that you can actually get year, you can get day, you can get month, you can get day of the week, you can get day of the week, you can get quite a lot of stuff from date. So the beauty of SQL is that you can manipulate data as much as you want. Once you have the different, lines of codes to write, you can see that it's a little different from Python, because in this one, you can feel, more or less have like some kind of touch to the data. You can feel it a lot more. And then when you code in SQL, you're communicating. Once you understand the data, once you look at the data and you say, okay, how can I get this? And how can I get that? You start applying all of that stuff, greater than, less than. You can apply case statements. And what I mean by case statement is, I'll say, okay, retailer, comma, I want to say region, comma, and I want to say, let me just make this a little more organized. And then I can say case. So you say when region is equals to northwest. I'm just using this example here. When region is northeast, rather, I want you to change that name from northeast to NE. Otherwise, just keep it as null. I just say new region. I hope this works, but it's just a try. What did it say? Northeast, sorry. The usual stuff we came across the other time. Okay, so what I've just done in this case statement, I've said, wherever you see northeast, I want you to give it a new region name to NE. So what I'm just trying to say is that in SQL, you can do quite a lot. I'll round up briefly, and then just in case there are questions, we want to come back and visit, and then we can come back to the script. So one last thing we want to do at that stage is the way they have designed tools going forward. If you know one tool, you are encouraged to learn the next one, because these tools, they tend to talk to themselves. That's why in an organization, you can have loads of tools. If you can use any of them, just go ahead and use it. Once the system can handle, and once the company, encourages that certain data will need to be certain because of security and all that. If you can use these different tools, just use them, and then that's you fine. So at this time, we will be connecting our SQL to our Excel. It's not that difficult, it's just straightforward. Now, we can't cover this process I want to explain now. We'll do it in the main class. What happens is this: the data we downloaded using Python, we can work with that data and then automatically ask Python to push it to SQL, either every day, every 1 hour, every 50 minutes, however we want. It will push it to SQL. And then we'll write some procedures in SQL to do some things and ask SQL to get this ready for Excel, so that once we have our Excel would automatically update our charts, or it can be that automated. Remember last week, Dr. Yakubu mentioned that manual labor, it's been, relegated, as it were. So you need the mind, just that ability to think of possibilities when it comes to the data analytics space is really, really important. So we'll quickly go back to our Excel, where we started from last week. And I'll just open a new tab, for instance. When you go to data, Excel has been, built to do quite a lot of stuff. And then you go to get data. You can see quite a lot of stuff. You can get data from online. Excel is really, it's a very powerful tool. And Dr. Yakubu and I would, cover most of these. You go to your database, and then you go to your SQL database. There are loads and loads of databases there. This is Excel. So you have an Excel application running, and then you have your database. Oh, sorry, I'll just go get my database name in SQL. So again, where you work, they will give you all these. You have your database name. Also, you will be given what's it called, access to naturally in an organization, they won't give you access to everything. So there you go. Remember where we started from? We went to data, we went to get data, and then we chose our databases. And then once we enter our database server name, Excel just automatically connects to it. And then that's our Intel and Avix data. That's the masterclass data we've been working, on all this while in SQL. You just click on it, and that's the data. You can load the data. You can transform the data. It takes you to a data model, and it takes you back to where we started from last week. So you can build from there and then come back to the dashboard. But this time, you have the data in SQL. So I know we've rushed this masterclass, but you can see that you can get data from the web with Python. You can do it with ease. You can import it into SQL. I didn't show you that part, but you can do that with ease. You can push it to SQL automatically with Python. You can also get the data out from SQL just with a few clicks in Excel. You can actually automatically do it in Excel without clicking, but at this stage, you just click in Excel, connect your database server, you have your data, and you can load the same data into Excel and begin to work from there. Now, the beauty of this is that once you know how to do this, that's your first major step, because once you get into an organization, they'll give you access to a database, they'll give you access to the folder, they'll have the Microsoft Office applications ready for you. And there you go. You can use Excel. You can push the same data from Excel to SQL. You can pull the same data. It's all that. It's not difficult, but it just takes one step at a time. And I know you can do it. So that's the data we worked with last week. That's the same data. So this one was opened directly from Excel. And then what is it? This other one came from SQL. We didn't have the time to push it from Python. You can export to Excel from Python. These tools, you can do them. They're available. SQL is free. Python is free. Yes, Excel, you might get some free version and all that. But that's it at this point. I don't know if you have any question. If I was too fast, let me know. I think we may have the Google form sent across again for comments. But that's me done at the stage. Any question, please? I would cede the floor to Dr. Balogun or Victoria to anchor.
Yeah, Victoria, please.
Oh, hello. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Victoria.
All right. So it's been a really, really interesting section, and as I always say, I am the one that gained more from the section than any other person somehow, because it's been a lot of learning for me as well. I don't know from your end. So if you think you've learned a lot of things from this section so far, can you just put an emoji somewhere and say, oh, well done, Mr. Tony. I think he covered a couple of things. What do you guys think? Yeah, I can see a lot of people agree with me. It's been a lot of learning. I know it was pretty fast section. Again, it's a masterclass, right? And we are unable to attend to a lot of questions, but it's really been a lot of learning from getting data from the web. I'm sure a lot of us have to, load from our URL or load from CSV or from Excel, get CSV or Excel. But now you can also get to see that you can easily get your data from a URL online. I remember the first time I tried that as well. I mean, I ran into a lot of issues, and it was really simple from what Mr. Tony just did. It means that sometimes you just need that extra knowledge, yeah, to get the best of what you need to do. And you can see what he did in SQL as well. Quite a lot of changes in there and very, very simple tactics. I guess you just need to know one or two syntax, and then you're able to manipulate a lot of things to get things done. From my end, I'd say Ms. Tony has really done a lot of justice to this section. Again, we understand it's very fast. I can see the comments. People feel it was fast. People are worried if they can practice all of this, right? But I tell you, you can always go back to this video. Currently, we are live. So if you go to Intel Navis page on Facebook, The video is automatically going to be there in another 10 minutes because we are live streaming. So you can always watch this video on the IntelliNavis Facebook page. Also, you can get the video for last week, both on the page and on YouTube. Just check for IntelliNavis on YouTube. Okay, I'm just saying something from Kemi just now. She said she got confused in the middle. Kemi, sincere apologies for that. Something you can do would be to watch the video all over again. And can we share the YouTube link? We can try doing that. Mr.
Yeah.
Tony? Or
I'll try to put that up just now. Yeah.
okay. All right. So we can get that done and then get you covered in that aspect. Again, it's fine to be confused. Not everyone gets to understand this as a go. I mean, I didn't get to understand it as a go, and I am still learning. And I'm sure Mr. Tony also said something about you trying, anytime you're angry, anytime you think you're frustrated, just go put that energy into the code, and then you feel better because you have something to put all of those anger into, and it gets better by the way because you're able to bring out a lot of knowledge from learning over and over. So I'd say what you need to do after this section will be to practice, practice. That's the rule of thumb for me. Just keep practicing and it gets better and you are able to put all of this in. Someone did say, is there a performance reduction in SQL and MySQL? Mr. Yakub, that question would be for you.
That's a technical question. I want to say for this audience, I think a private chat will probably be much better. So we'll just leave it at that. So we don't lose much people when it comes to the technicalities of this.
All right, Mr. Adebola David, you just got yourself a free, a blank check somehow to chat to one of the trainers. So again, if you could drop the email address, Mr. Adebola David, you can just email Mr. Yakub or Mr. Tony, and then they will be able to give a very good or in-depth reply to this, and then you get all the information you need and all clarification as well. Again, it's more like a blank check. That means you have more interaction with these fellows over time. If you have any question, again, the YouTube channel, the link to the previous YouTube video is now on the group. If you would like to watch the video, if you're not sure, if you need to follow through the process, this is the link to last week on. The one for today will also be uploaded there at least by the end of today, right? So you are able to access that as well. However, if it is not there, again, it is going to be on Facebook today compulsorily because we are live on Facebook. And you can also email the team. Is that fine? Do we have any other questions, please? Do we have any other questions? Do you have questions, something you're not sure of or something?
So would be good if you have questions. I think there's a question there, Victoria. Somebody say, will we be getting certificates at the end of the course? So the answer to that is, if you want a yes or no answer, the answer is no. And I will explain a lot more about that. Right now, certificates don't give no job. So we can print a certificate and give to you, but it won't really give you what you need. This is our design. Our design is to give you the structure, the training, and the direction to get certifications and not certificates. So when we talk about certifications, we're talking about going through some industry recognized certifiers like Microsoft or AWS, like I showed to you last week on my certifications. That's number one. Number two is the experience, the hands-on stuff. That's what really gets you out there, because we can help you modify your CV, work on your CV and everything. When you get there, even with your certificate and certifications, nobody is really going to have a look at that. They might give you a test and say, this is SQL, pull this data out. or let's see a visualization that you've done before. I remember when I did a couple of interviews. Now they gave us a particular work to go and write SQL codes to be able to query data. They gave like a data model. So you're going to see all the entity relationship diagram. We'll talk about that much later, and you are expected to do some work. And I did another one with BP, and what they gave was they gave like some CSV and the business case problem, and ask you need to come and answer this business case problems, and also represent this in any data visualization tool of your choice. Then I use Power BI. So the point I'm saying is the certificate is not the important thing right now. We are going to give you what, according to our knowledge and experience in the market, is what we give you out there. Direction, the certifications, trainings to it, as well as the experience and the knowledge with which you can go out there and be confident of what you have. Somebody's talking about email, info@intelandnavis.com. So another person is saying, aside the October intake starting on the 7th of October, let me see that question again. I just missed that. Yeah, aside the October intake starting on the 7th, when next is another batch? It's going to be quarterly. So it's going to be quarterly because we want to focus on the cohort. Some persons have already indicated interest to join this October batch. So what's happening is, you start in October, 7th of October, and you have 6 weeks of intensive training. And it's not going to be 2 hours on Saturday, it's going to be 4 hours on Saturday. And before the training, what we're doing is we're going to have a time where you come with your laptops, and all what we're doing online is not training, but to install everything. So we're going to make sure that your Python is well installed and everything working fine. SQL is well installed and working fine. Everybody has got GitHub access. You have your GitHub profile. As you can see, GitHub on the screen now. Everybody has got that and is working fine. We'll make sure that you get on Confluence, you get on Jira as well. So all of these different platforms that we're going to be using, we'll make sure we dedicate time to put everything together, because we don't want we're having session and someone will be like, Python is not working, or this. We are going to be as slow as needed to ensure that nobody is left behind. Because the idea is we're not going to be very many in the class. So that's the way we've designed this thing. So we're not like having, how many are we now? 30, 35, 50. In the main session, we are not going to be up to this number. So we're going to know everybody one after the other. We'll know everybody. And it's going to be a very personalized touch. So everybody, all your system has it installed. So when we come for the session, we're taking it bit by bit. Last week, I was doing Excel, and to some persons, I was kind of fast. Well, it was a masterclass. But when we come, we'll learn from the basis how to plot a simple bar chart. So I'll teach how to plot simple bar chart, how to do all of the different formatting. When Mr. Tony comes and is teaching you Python, all you need to know about data types, about how to import NumPy, how to import pandas, matplotlib, from the very basis. And SQL as well. And we'll also be doing practice section. As he's typing, you are typing, and you are seeing these things come up on your screen. And when you have errors, we can work out with these errors. So that is the design. It's going to be, I just can't wait for it to start. It's going to be really an amazing time for you to get the upskilling you require and to prepare for the new year that's coming. Are there scholarships for the main course? Well, I don't know what scholarships mean though. So yes, somebody said, please, can you send the GitHub link? I think the GitHub link has been sent there. Yeah, the Facebook page here, you know the Facebook page, IntelliNavis Careers, and our website as well. You can check on our website to get all of the other courses. So we've been discussing data analytics for the past 2 weeks. If you go on our website, maybe Mr. Tony might just help share the website. Immediately you get on the website www.intelandnavis.com. So you will see 2 tabs at the bottom that will lead you to 2 other directions on the website. So we have some other business stake in a different sector, which you will see as AgroNavis there. But where the training arm of the company is IntelliNavis Careers or Career Navis. If you click on Career Navis, you'll be taken to the part of the website where you see all of the training. So we've been talking about data analytics. So for this October, we are focused on data analytics for this last quarter of the year. When we're coming next year, we'll be doing data analytics, business analysis as well. So those that want to train to be business analysts, so you want to train all the requirement gathering, all the user story, wireframing, mock-up, and all of those things, requirement elicitation, we'll be treating all of that in the coming year. So if you look in the tab for training courses, or under that tab, you will see all the different years. We've got data analysis and visualization, which we're running this masterclass on. Then we've got business analysis. So in our next series of masterclass, we'll also be having sessions where we'll be discussing on business analysis. So we can come and we'll do like maybe SWOT analysis and different other stuff that we do in BA as well. And we'll be treating stuff like requirement elicitation, wireframing, mock-up, and all of those things, stakeholder management, and we're going to be discussing on agile as well. So part of the thing you see there, you see agile scrum methodologies. You want to know what it means, what we mean by agile methodology, Kanban, and all of that, waterfall, working in iteration. You want to know about sprint. You want to know about different stuffs in that region. We'll be treating all of that as well. And project management office, PMO. You'll be able to work in the department where you're the one in charge of maybe capturing risk, read log, and everything. Everything is being put together. So, but as I said, this masterclass, we've been treating only data analysis. We're having other series, other free sessions where we'll be treating business analysis, project management, office analysis, we're treating agile, scrum, and all of that. We want to ensure that as much as possible, we're able to empower our community, that people can go out there and can increase their earning power. And while we're doing this session, it's very strategic that the year is coming to an end. And lots of times we begin to plan for the new year. But it is not just by writing down your new year goal, but acting. So what we are doing is making your plan for the new year, your resolution for the new year, to be more action oriented. What exactly are you doing to get ready for the new year? Now, think about it this way. You get on board in October, you spend the first 6 weeks to really go down into this tool, understand these stuffs. And after that, from November, you are fully soaked into getting busy, getting your hands dirty, understanding from Excel. You know how to do dashboards. You move into Power BI. You understand Power BI, you understand Tableau, you understand Python, you have GitHub account, and we go to talk about cloud technology. We treat on AWS. You know how exactly how AWS works and how you can connect different stuff from the S3 bucket. You can connect stuff through Athena, and then you can go onto QuickSight. You have all of these things, and then you prepare your CV. January, February, you get into the market, and your year starts with a bang. You have a job that gives you the satisfaction that you've never experienced before, beyond your imagination, and it gives you the pay pocket is far more than what you are expecting. You know that, yes, 2024, I'm ready for you. Because it is not just by writing your goals in a paper. It's not about writing your projections and resolutions in a paper. What we are doing is act your resolution for the new year. You need to take action. And that is why we're doing this at a time like this, very strategic. So you can come on board, get yourself ready for the new year in the training that we're offering. So I'm going to go into the chat again. I don't know, Mr. Tony or Victoria might have something to say while I try to read some messages.
Thank you so much, Mr. Yakub. I was just replying to a couple of chats and messages in there. We have a couple of persons asking about the duration of the course, if business analysis is included in the October sprints. And then we also have people asking that we create like a WhatsApp group or something so they all can join and they are able to learn together. First, I want to reply to a couple of them. On the WhatsApp group, currently we are not creating a WhatsApp group for everyone in this masterclass, but when you eventually join the paid class, we would be looking to have like a group where you can all learn together, share ideas, and this could be a Telegram chat, it could also be a Slack channel. So everyone gets to discuss their issues, say challenges, and then they're also able to seamlessly reach the facilitators. The second question there was about the business analytics and the data analytics class. The sprints, the October sprint generally is a data analytics section. Okay, so it's going to majorly be tilted towards data analytics, while the January section, or pretty much the January section, which is for next year, would be more tilted towards business analytics. Now, again, bulk of the things you do in business analytics, you pretty much do them in data analytics. For example, you use tools like Python, SQL, you use Excel. The only difference is that you still get to use every other tool, right? And then you do a little bit more of business wrangling or business wrangling, data wrangling for business, right? As against a broader view, which is what data analysis generally covers. So I'd say if you're looking to enroll for this October section, or for the October sprint, you are good to go. You're still going to cover every other thing you're going to cover in the business inclined or business analytics inclined sprint in January. There's another question here just now that says, during the course, is there a section to analyze data from full company database? Like, I mean, singling out a data set from a company's database or performing data analysis on the old database. Again, I don't know if you were here last week, but we did say something about first, we are going to take you through a pretty much, say, about 4 weeks or 3 weeks of learning thereabouts. Then you have another full 3 weeks, I think 6 weeks of learning, and then you have other weeks to prepare like a portfolio, and then you get to prepare your work on similarly company inclined data and databases. I mean, Mr. Tony and Mr. Yakub both are working with a lot of data just now, and these are things you are able to have access to them. We also have various data sources, including Kaggle, where you can pick any type of data you want. These are pretty much data from different companies that we're sourcing into that place, and you can utilize this to analyze real life projects. And you have facilitators who can go through it, correct you on things you're not doing right, guide you through what you can do to improve yourself, and help you position for the big market out there. I hope that answers your question. Yeah, please go on.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah. Just to add to all that you said, you've rightly said. So when the main game starts, we'll have lots. The data is all going to be in the database, and there you'll be doing stuff. And apart from the training and also some of the projects you'll be working on, we have some real life situations, some work that we have just now in our other arm of the company that we're doing stuff, which some persons after the training will be deployed to work on some of those projects. As you can see from the website, you will notice that there is two parts of the website. There's the career Navis, and you see the other side, which is agro Navis. So we've got some stuff that we are doing that you come on board, and after the training, we'll deploy you to work on some real projects where you will add value to this. And these are things you use to tell your story. I tell people that interview, you need to know how to tell story. And when you tell story, two key things in your story, it has to be coherent. Your story needs to be coherent, and it has to be well coordinated. So many people tell stories that are just not coherent. It's just up and down. All of these things will take you through it and will give you the story to tell. That's what I can assure you. So some persons are asking how to get on board. To get on board is simple. So lots of persons have called me since last week, and I've told them that immediately after this session, I think the link for you to put in your details has also been shared. Please put in the link there. Get into the link and give us your details. We'll be sending an email out in the new week, and also SMS. So what you do is you just reply us, indicate interest in our flyer. You will see our mobile numbers. You can give us WhatsApp message, SMS, give us a call, or send an email to info@intelenavis.com. And then we'll give you the form to fill and the details and everything. And the guys that spoke to me last week, I said to them that what we're doing is we're trying to really get people to a career that gives you real satisfaction. You increase your earning potential, and also your work-life balance is improved. And you can work flexibly. You have family. Maybe somebody is schooling. And I particularly like to speak to those that have families and you have one of your partner is schooling. Maybe the wife is schooling or the husband is schooling, and you've got a restriction to work only 20 hours. This is an opportunity for the other person. It's good that you're doing different part-time stuff, but get yourself upskilled and get a more a much more earning potential job where you can also manage families. I know what it's like. You've got children, you need to worry about where the children will be when you go to school, when you go to work. You can work from your own home, from your own house. You have your system, you're working there, and you're helping to support the family, take care of the kids, do your school run. Just think about it, where you can manage school run, you can be working, you can spend lots of time with family and do the things you love, and you work flexibly. You can decide to resume at this time, but you know what you need to achieve for that day, and you work till late or work early. The flexibility, I mean, I can't overemphasize it when you get on stuff like this. So either you're doing data analytics, business analysis, PMO analysis, or agile scrum, we're covering everything. And as Victoria said, this spring for this October is mainly data analytics. When we come in the new year, we'll be bringing business analysis, and depends on situation, we probably might still do data analysis, but as you said, business analysis is clearly coming in January. But do not delay. And the reason why I tell people not to delay is the earlier the better, because you can start getting your hands dirty, get to know these tools, get to practice, and get to make yourself perfect and ready for 2024 that's coming. I'm going to hand over the floor to Mr. Tony. He's got some contributions to add. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Victoria. You know, as they've all said, absolutely correct. We can't overemphasize the flexibility working from home. I can't remember how many years I've been doing it. I've been so many years, and it does help to balance things. And also, as I say, some side stuff, you know, can still come while you have you see, you have a job now, great. You can improve in that job if you understand more of data analytics. You can transition to a different career. You can combine that job with other things. And it's beautiful to learn these skills again, because as time goes on, data becomes more and more important, and then how to analyze that data becomes more and more important. So learn these skills, you know, get your hands dirty. As I mentioned, it's not difficult, to be candid. It's not difficult. It will take time, it will take patience, and then it will take interest also. If you watch very well, the main focus, it's, you know, providing that opportunity or that ability to learn the skills. Yes, you know, it's going to cost some money, some time, some effort and all that. But the beauty of it is that it's going to be very personalized, that one-on-one touch. We know where we have come from, we know where we are today, and we can see more or less where the trend is tomorrow. So we can actually guide and then assist and then make you very, very comfortable, assuming you have no, in fact, those that don't have any skill at all in data analysis, this is great, because we will just take it slow and steady. And then for those that already have advanced skill knowledge, we'll also have quite a lot of other impacts. And then, because it's going to be a massive and large community, it's going to be very, very helpful for everybody. Don't worry if you don't have any skill at all. Don't worry if you've not come across most of these tools before. We'll just make it as simple and as, you know, as easy. Let me also point out, when it comes to the work experience project, you're going to own it, because at the end of the day, it's your project. That's your skill. It's your experience. Some people say, I don't have work experience. That's why I have, you know, this challenge with finding data analysis job and all that. The question I normally ask is, what was your experience before you got your very first job? So if you just came off school or thereabouts and then you got your first job, don't worry if you don't have data analysis experience. After this one, You'll be so confident speaking up because it's your experience. And then we will showcase you. Because you own it, you can always point people to, this is my project. And because you're going to start from the A, the B, the C, even while, once you just wake up, you can actually describe your project. It's not going to be a simple project. I don't want to scare you. It's going to be very, very enriching. Also, as a data analyst or within the data analytics space, you work with different team members, you work with different stakeholders. So that's why even while we're treating data analytics, business analysis stuff will still be coming in, the Jira, the Confluence, the managing stuff. So all this, you begin to get an idea of that. So once you find yourself in any team, it's easy for you. So your project, that work experience part of it, it's your project, so you will manage it. It's your project, you will own it. And you're going to have it there bold on your CV, which are also going to help on how to structure CV. I've worked with HR teams, and I see certain things. I have understanding. I worked with them a few years ago, so I have understanding of how they process CVs. That's why sometimes you're wondering, why is it that I'm more qualified? I know this, but I didn't get the job. Something may have happened along the line. I mean, which is something, in presentation, quite a lot. So these are some of the things we'll bring together. So at the end of the period of the training, you would have grabbed quite a lot of knowledge. I mean, experience will come in, life stories will come in. We'll tell you how we started. We'll be able to explain these things so very well. It's going to be very helpful. And as mentors, just anytime, send a text. And once you're in the full training, a text, a chat, an email, all that, we'll be able to bring them together. And, so it's going to be a class. It's going to be a practical, very, very hands-on practical from day one. Weekly assignments and tests and all that. And the videos will be recorded. You can manage it across your space, across your time. Groups of teams will be formed, but you will own your project because you have to do your project. It's going to be your own project. So that's more or less the summary. Someone says, is the business analysis class included in our data analysis masterclass, or are you just going to take us as additional knowledge? No. What we have, as we've said over and over time, in October, starting October, is going to be more of data analysis. But because we know that data analysts work with varied number of people within the team, various skill sets and all that, we will also be telling you one or two things about data analysis, but it's going to be business. It's going to be one or two business analysis, but it's going to be more of data analysis. Let me just say something just to more or less give you a picture. You have a data analyst here, for instance, and you have a business analyst here. Close to one side, you have a business data analyst, and then you have a data business analyst. So there's this overlap across. So we'll be able to present a couple of things on that overlap that will help you discuss with a business analyst. I've worked as a business analyst more than once, several times. I've worked as a data analyst, so I understand some of those. So we'll bring all this and be able to explain to you very well, so that the next time you see Python, for instance, any Python interface, Jupyter Notebook, Colab, PyCharm, whatever IDE you use, you're just okay. You're not scared. If you see any database, it doesn't have to be Microsoft SQL. It could be Oracle. It could be Teradata. It could be Hive. It could be Impeller. Yeah, okay. You just know it's going to be the same basic select from the same usual basic stuff. A little flair here and there, but a little painting here and there. But that's just about it. So we'll look forward to you joining the program. As Dr. mentioned, a couple of people have indicated interest, and what we are mostly concerned is we need to know your skill level. That's why the forms are there, so that we know how we can, tailor these things to individual needs. So at the end of the day, I mean, you come out, you're comfortable, you're a data analyst. The journey doesn't stop there anyway. So you have the necessary tools. You will now go further. You just realize that, oh my God. Now, I remember when I started many years ago. Currently, I'm in the same data space in my PhD research, but it just tells you that, you know what, the field or the marketplace is so massive that you have a space and you can be the next, star. That's where we are, we're going to. Yeah, so that's me for now.
Yeah, thanks a lot, thanks a lot. And I like when you talk about where we start. You know, when we get on board, we'll be sharing lots of personal experiences to make you know how possible this thing is. My first degree is in geology. My original work experience was working in Nigeria with SPDC on contract basis, though. And then my master's degree is in petroleum technology. My doctorate is in core engineering. I'm a chartered engineer with the Institute of Mechanical Engineers in the UK. So you can see, if I tell you a lot about my background, if you look at my portfolio, you see hardcore engineering, mainly in the energy sector. But in all of these things, I was doing lots of analytics in the background. And my certifications are more in analytics. And I've been in the sector as an data analyst, as model developer, quantitative analyst, now as a lead analyst here in the UK. So the point is, it is 100% possible. It is not a walk in the park. You need to work. You need to put in the effort into it. And the interesting thing is this: if it is going to be easy, if you're not going to put in any work, then the remuneration won't be there. Then they won't pay for something that will be very easy. So when people say this thing is it's not very easy, I'm like, very good. That's exactly how it should be. Now, as a lecturer, students complain like it's difficult, and I'm saying exactly that's what you paid for. I mean, you paid about £16,000 not for it to be easy for you to get a master's degree. The difficulty is exactly what you've paid £16,000 for to come for a master's degree in the UK. So you don't expect it to be easy, for goodness sake. So what I'm trying to say here is this: you will need to put in the work because you don't expect it to be easy. If it is easy, then it won't be well paid, it won't be very profiting, it won't give you that work-life balance. However, we're not going to leave you there alone. We're working by your side. As I said, we're not going to be very super populated that you will be lost. No, nobody's going to be lost with us. We're going to walk with you. We're going to talk with you. We're going to hold your hands as much as possible and make sure that you get the essence of you coming to our community. And somebody talked about WhatsApp group. We're not forming a WhatsApp group, but it's going to be a Telegram. No, not Telegram, sorry, it's Slack. So we're going to be doing Slack. We'll have a Slack channel, which is going to capture everybody. That's our community. Now, apart from that very wide Slack channel, we're now going to create a different Slack channel specific for the people that are joining in October, so we can have October specific information. Then when they finish their trading and they go into the main thing, all of them gets their email. So like victoria.ilori@intelinavis.com, yakubu.balogo@intelinavis.com. So you all have access to your team's area. Then we'll put you into groups. So you're working as a group, like a scrum team right now, as we call it. So you know how you're going to be doing your scrum ceremonies, what you're doing, how you distribute tasks. We will be personally in all of these groups to make sure that you are well guided. So how you create your Confluence page for all your technical documentation, how you get on Jira to make sure that you have all of the epics well created, all of the different tasks, all of the stories, everything, and your Kanban board, how you organize everything. We ensure that everybody learn these things. And then on GitHub as well, I've said that before, we make sure we guide you through all of this. So when you're coming out of the 6 weeks, you will know that you've really gone through lots of work, and then you enjoy what you're doing. The main thing is to be able to make you so confident that when you have your CV and you go out there before employers, you can talk confidently because you're not just putting it in paper. You know it up here and you can demonstrate it. So that's exactly what we're looking at. So somebody is saying Slack channel. Yeah, I think, yeah, spelling. This person really likes spelling. Yeah. So that's quite interesting. So you're very particular about spelling. So, but the point is, if you know Slack, you will know Slack is one of the messaging app, just like we have Telegram and WhatsApp. So that's what we're going to be doing. So we'll create the channel where we'll be using for real-time messaging. But for the different teams, all of the people in the different teams, you will have your own group, like a Teams group. You know, in Teams, you can now create different groups in Teams, and you can fix different time for your meetings at your convenience. So you can just schedule meetings, for all of your collaboration, because it's going to be collaborative effort. So that is how we are going to go. Right. So I think we're winding down gradually. Victoria, correct me if I'm right. I see a hand has been up. Victoria, do you want to check if the hand up have got their question answered? Yes, fill in the Google form, please, and let's get your details and contact us. If you check our flyers, our numbers are there. Give us a call or WhatsApp or SMS or drop an email to info@intelandnavis.com, and we'll be able to structure all of the enrollment in the next 2 weeks here, and then we'll be starting on the 7th. So we've said it before, we have payment plans. So if you're paying 50%, you can spread the rest across 2 equal monthly installment, or 3, if that's better for you. So if you're paying the first 50% and you can spread the rest, because we're confident that when you come on board, you won't be able to go, because when you see value and you are somebody that appreciates value, you'll be glued on value, and we'll spend a long time together in creating valuable future together. Okay? So that's me right now, Victoria, if that's okay.
All right, thank you very much. Ola, I can see your hands have been up. I think I did reply to your message in there. He was asking first for your contact details. He wants to enroll for the class. I have just said to you, kindly fill in the Google form. There's a link there. Do you still have a question? Would you want us to unmute you? Ola, do you still have a question? You have the floor. You can unmute yourself and say something if you stood there.
Yeah, it's possible the question has been answered, maybe.
Okay. He said he doesn't have a question. He just wants your contact. So I'd say, Ola, if you would just fill your details in this form. Someone from the admin will reach out to you pretty much via email, and then you can continue the conversation therein. Is that fine by you? All right. I think that's fine by him. You have the Google link there, the Google form. Yeah, great. So just fill in the Google form with your details, and then someone would reach out to you. And with that being said, that would be it for this masterclass. The last 2 weeks has been a great time of learning for a lot of people. We have been able to cover quite a number of things from Excel. Last week we were able to work on filter, building things from the map, and then getting to generally understand what Intel and Navis does. And this week we were able to review what it is to work with Jupyter Notes, pretty much Python, leveraging the likes of pandas, and then leveraging also pretty much trying to get a copy of our data, as well as generating our data from URL, which pretty much has covered quite a number of things. I mean, immediately you start knowing the little bit, it seems more like the little bit, but those are majorly the things you pretty much get to utilize in starting at first getting to understand what it is to analyze your data. The better way to understand your data would be just getting to know what the data is really saying, and then you are able to perform way lot more on the data. That is what we've been able to do today. We also were able to do the same thing in SQL. There was a very peculiar question I remember, and the person was asking, oh, can I visualize in SQL? It's simple. You just need to connect back your SQL data, the one you've been able to refine, back to Excel or to Python, and you can seamlessly visualize it there. Also, if you're not into a bulk of these things, you can also actually sync it back into other software, right? And visualize it there if you want, the likes of Power BI amidst others. So pretty much you're good to go when it comes to using any of the two. As said, also, I am just trying to reiterate a couple of things. The section is going to start in October. So if you're looking to enroll, please kindly do so. And it's going to be for 6 weeks. It is not just going to be a theoretical class. If you're just someone who loves theory, this class might not be good for you. because you are going to be building your own project. Again, so it's more like you're doing your hands dirty. You need to work on this thing. There is no, oh, this is what I say, and then someone will build your project for you. No, whatever you learn, you're going to build projects, which is going to sustain you, pretty much serve as an evidence that you're going to present to people. Just on your screen there, you can see what it is to go to the IntelliNavis careers page on the website. All you need to do is go to this website, check for the training courses, click the course you want, which is going to be the data analytics sprint just now, and enroll. Again, alternatively, we are going to send you an email. All you need to do is fill in the Google form just in the chat there, and we are able to reach out to you. For the videos, I have been trying to share a lot of links. The link to the video is just on the chat section there. You can watch the video currently on Facebook. That is for last week's section. We are also live today, and this section is also being recorded, so you can access this video both on YouTube and on the Facebook page. I understand a couple of people are having issues viewing the video, and that's because the one on YouTube just now is still set as private. We are going to change the setting back to public so everyone can get to see the video. So if you like to watch videos on YouTube, you would be able to see today's section and last week's section on the YouTube channel. The subsequent sections which we are going to be doing is going to be private for people who enrolled for the class. So if you'd like to enroll, you can simply click on the link in there and indicate your interest. Like I think Ade mentioned that he's interested. We will specifically be reaching out to him. And then we have a couple of other people who have shown interest as well. We will be reaching out to this person as well. The price for the section was discussed last week. I am going to leave this last 2 seconds or 3 minutes thereabout to Mr. Yakub or Mr. Tony. One person would be able to take you again through the price range, how you get to discuss the price or how you intend to pay. Again, we allow you to divide your payment if you want to, and then get into the section. Again, it is not by writing your plans down. That would be my last word generally. It's not about writing these goals down. It is about you putting this interest in. Sometimes it requires you investing and taking the right step. So Mr. Yakub, you can take over just now as we round up and discuss the payment plan available as well as when the class is starting. Thank you.
Right. Yeah, thanks a lot. I think last week we did say that the price is just £600, and that's inclusive of VAT, which usually is about 20% here in the UK. So essentially, you're paying just £500 for this course. Now, for the 6 weeks training, as well as the 3 months opportunity you're going to have, and all of the tools that we are equally paying for. So the tools, not all of them are free. We're going to be paying for them, like the Microsoft Office tools that you're getting access to, SharePoint, to Teams and Microsoft Excel and all of that. So you're getting access to that. And we did say that you can pay 50% and you spread the rest. And I tell you what, some person's talking about price. That price is about the cheapest you can get. And the truth about it is, if you see value, you go for value, not minding the cost. And that's exactly what we're offering here. You go for value. And because we're cognizant of the fact that payment sometimes might be an issue, and that's why we've structured it that even if you pay 50%, you are good to go. You can spread it across 3 months, £100 in a month. We don't mind, because immediately you see the value we offer, we are sure you'll be glued onto it, because you need to pay something to get value. That's exactly how life is. Sometimes when you've made a commitment, what keeps you going, what makes you keep on grinding, is that commitment of something that has come out of you, you've put into this thing. If you don't put anything into it, you realize, even your own self, the effort you put into it, you understand what I'm trying to say. So £600, which essentially is £500, is not really anything compared to the value we're discussing here. I showed you some of the jobs that you can start going for just last week here. So even if you get a job at, say, £35,000 per annum, so what are we now talking about here? So you can see what we're saying is completely nothing to compare to what the value you're going to get based upon the potential of your earnings. Or you go start doing some contracts and you have £200, £250 in a day. So it then means if you go for a contract that is £250 in a day, so just 2 days, you've essentially paid the training fee. And this is a job you do for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and you continue growing in your career. So even if you get a job that they are paying you 36,000, 45,000 or whatever, you notice that the amount you're committing into upskilling, upgrading yourself is nothing, and I mean nothing compared to the value. If we take statistics now, say this is data analytics, let's say statistics, and I say everybody drop in the phone you're using right now in the chat, I'm sure that like 50% will be iPhone. And that iPhone might be 14 Pro Max. And 14 Pro Max, we all know the price. Some is going to be Samsung Galaxy. We're speaking value here, and not just iPhone and Galaxy. What will increase your earning potential? I mean, we spend lots of money on buying iPhones for maybe £800 or Galaxy for £700, and we just use it to communicate. And many of us are not earning. I appreciate the fact that some people are earning by virtue of the phone that they hold. Some other persons are not earning. It's just to have nice pictures. And we commit £800, £1,200. Some are on direct debit, paying £50 every month just to have one iPhone in your pocket. But here we're speaking value. And the value we're offering is, if you really want an iPhone, do not buy an iPhone. Pay for this training. Get the skill, get the job, and buy iPhone. Buy another iPhone for your loved ones. That's exactly what we're saying. You have the seed. Do not eat the seed. Sow the seed. Let it bring forth more fruit. Get more seed and do many stuffs. You definitely have it in you. Come and upskill yourself. Show some commitment to growing you. That's exactly how you develop. So the fee is very, very generous, I will say. So you can always message us, drop us message, so we can talk about the payment structure. So we're very open to having conversations with you. I don't know, Mr. Tony, if I've spoken well. So I think Victoria will be rounding up now. It's past 3 already. Thank you, everybody, for your time. And please go to our Facebook page. Try to follow the page so that you can get lots of the updates and all the other information. We'll be doing more and more masterclass. So there's a session that I will be taking in November. It's going to be on using artificial intelligence in academia. So I'm going to send the flyers out later. So I'm taking a session second week in November. It's going to be on large language models like ChatGPT, Generosity, how you can use it to improve yourself, either a student or a staff. So keep an eye for the session on artificial intelligence in November. So we'll be having different sessions. You always see the flyers on our Facebook page, so you can join all of these sessions and get yourself ready for the new year. Upskill yourself to upgrade your earnings. That's exactly how it should be. Your value is not about the phone that you hold, but make sure that your bank account and your pockets, let your pocket hold something valuable and not just iPhone. So it's not really much. So thank you very much, Victoria. You can call it a day if everything is fine.
All right, that would be it for us. It's a wrap from us from here at Intel and Avis. And I'm sure you've all enjoyed the masterclass so far, and you've been able to learn a couple of things. Again, just to reiterate, the video for this section is already on Facebook. And we would also be imputing the recording to the YouTube channel while making it public, so you get to see the videos as well. Again, if you're having issues enrolling for the class, you want to discuss payment plans, all you need to do is reach out to us either on Facebook, or you can send us an email at info@intelennavis.com, or reach out through one of the various contact details on the flyers on the Facebook page, and we are able to reply to you as soon as possible. And that will be it from me. And thank you very much. And I hope to see every one of you enrolled in the master, pretty much in the full class, right? Afterward. It's a wrap from here. Thank you very much and have a very lovely evening, everyone.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Roches.
Thank you very much. Just to mention that the video
Thank you
is
very
now
much.
made public. The video is now public on YouTube, so you can go and view on YouTube. It's public now. Thank you very much, everybody.
Once again,
Thank you.
thanks.
Keep an eye on more of our
Thank you,
events
Doctor.
on our
Doctor.
Facebook page. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. You're welcome.
And
Thank
thank
you,
you very
everybody.
much, Mr.
Thank
Tony.
you. Thank you.
Really
Thank you,
appreciate your
Mr. Tony.
masterclass.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
sir. Okay, bye.